welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one and all, to a brand new edition of The Quinn Spinn. I'm your host, The Quinn. At least it's how I'm known here on the program, but really nowhere else. And I'm back here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube for another rousing and riveting installment of the official podcast of Underground Music Collective, 11 plus years strong here as we wrap up 2024. You just heard Revel 9's All I've Become at the top of the show. That's been our opening theme song here at The Quinn Spinn since the great year of 2014, and it will be until the very end of days. And I have a very special guest joining, about to celebrate her 10th Nashville-versary next year, Brittany Bishop, musician, all around good soul, joining us here on the show. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I mean, I'm just so glad to be here on this fine Sunday. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, just got all the tech dialed in, and that computer actually almost didn't log on, and I'm like, well, there goes the show. It's never logged out, and I turned it on. I'm like, I need a password for this. I don't know what the password
what are you supposed
is
to do with that?
And then so there's the pin in the password fields, and I was entering the pin in the password field and it wasn't going, and I'm like calling people. I'm like, what do I do? Yeah. I have 2 shows today.
Literally. Yeah. I'm looking at the setup you got here. There's a lot of chords. There's a lot of things happening.
Yes.
I just simply would pass away, I think.
Some days I feel like I might too. If one little thing's out of place, I'm like, what do I do? My brain just stops working.
I had a years-long beef with a printer that I had, and it's finally stopped working officially for good this time, and throwing it in the trash weirdly felt so satisfying.
Yeah, right?
Like, this ends here. This ends today.
I actually had that experience when I was getting ready to move to Nashville. I just took a bunch of stuff to the dump in Pennsylvania where I moved here from, and it felt so good to just push it off the edge there and be like, gosh, this is my old life. Yes. Goodbye.
I'm new now.
I'm new. Goodbye, old me. Anyway, we're not here to talk about me. Right. We're here to talk about you. And so, in your own words, tell the nice people your answers to the 3 standard questions, those being, who are you? What are your passions? And why on earth would you want to come on the Quinn Spinn?
Okay, perfect. So who I am a Texan-born country singer. I've been in town for almost 10 years. Music is what absolutely keeps me going. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I am an avid horror movie fan. And let's see, what else do I do? It's weird to actively say that. Yeah.
To have to talk about yourself and have to go into all that.
Yeah. But I would just say that musician, horror movie fan, and seeker of just a good time and good people. Mm-hmm.
Which is why you came on the show, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah. That 2 for 1 question answer.
Look at
that. What are my passions? I would say, kind of again, music, horror movie thing. I love a good video game. I love a good, girl time with my friends. I love a good brunch. I love cats. Cats are my passion.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
You love cats. I have a cat.
I'm so serious about cats.
His name's Lucky. He adopted me.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
He actually was outside my old complex, and he started just trying to follow me home. Then started trying to follow me to my car. Then started recognizing my car when I pulled in and started walking over toward it.
They're so smart.
And, he's a big boy, right? So I took a picture, sent my friend, who then told me that cat looks pregnant. I'm like, I can't leave a pregnant cat in the summer heat. All right, come on in. Don't touch anything. Yeah. We're going to take you to the vet. We're going to find your mom and dad. And then I became his dad the next day.
Oh, that's typically how it happens. It's like you got this plan. You're like, okay, we're going to figure it out for you. We're going to... And then they lay cute on the couch one time, and you're like, all right, you can stay.
I knew it. I knew exactly when I was going to adopt him, because I go to bed, right? And I'm like, all right, maybe I should leave my door open just in case he needs anything or whatever. Or she. I thought he was a she at the time until I take him to the vet the next day, and he's just fat, not pregnant. And he just jumps up on my bed and just starts getting in my face and making biscuits. And I'm like, I looked him right in the eye. I'm like, I'm going to end up adopting you, aren't I?
Yeah.
And I did. Now I can't imagine my life without him.
Right.
My lucky duck.
Mean, it's literally like a therapist and a roommate all in one, even though they never say anything. It's honestly the best. I've got 2 of them. They're the Persian ones, so flat, very flat-faced. Grandpa and Freddie Mercury.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lucky says a lot. He yells at me every time I come home. He just doesn't stop meowing until I get on his level.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Oh my God. Yeah, Grandpa's more of like a bite your leg kind of guy.
Oh.
To communicate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
He's rowdy.
All about cats here on the
Yes,
Quinn Spinn.
this has been Cat Talk.
That might be the title of this episode. That might be it.
They'll come up again.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It'll all come back to the cats. Anyway, before it does, let's talk about your creative journey and let's go all the way back to the beginning, as far back as you want to go.
Okay.
People, places, experiences, of course, artists who influenced you, inspired your creative path, and got you thinking, maybe this is something I want to do with my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I was just kind of always at least a little bit destined for singing country music. I mean, I grew up on a ranch in Abilene, Texas, and even before, as an infant, the day I came home from the hospital, they decided to put me on a horse before we went in the house. So that's some of the most country stuff I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it really started for me. My mom would always play like Martina McBride and the Dixie Chicks and Clint Black like by my crib every night. That's kind of what would get me to sleep. Music was the only thing from the very beginning. And kind of moving forward a bit, I grew up in the Church of Christ, so my mom was singing on the praise team that they had. But you know, fun fact about that is that they don't allow instruments, so it's all vocal harmony. Yeah, so, I mean, you need something to spice it up. So I kind of grew up watching her do that and going to the practices with her and falling asleep on the pews at, you know, when they practice before the service or whatever. And that was my first love. I would say it was just the harmony aspect of music, like just give you chills. You know, that was always super powerful for me. And so eventually, you know, I started singing with her and you know, she taught me how to do that. And we were going to barrel races for her at the time, different rodeos and stuff. And we would play, you know, the Chicks and all of those really cool country records. Hank Sr. was a big rotation too. And I just fell in love with the storytelling aspect of country music. And, you know, that was always something that I was hugely passionate about. But I guess I didn't necessarily know that it was going to be my career path. I didn't know where I was going to take that. I just knew that it was something that made me extremely happy and made me feel like nothing else did. And so when I was a teenager, I kind of got introduced into this Western swing band where I became the harmony singer because that was kind of my specialty. It's like, you know, picking out different parts and all that kind of thing. And I'd picked up the guitar, and back then I kind of looked up pictures of people's hands to play the chords. Like if there's a song I wanted to play, I would just like look up a picture of somebody's hand and be like, okay, I guess
see what it looks like.
Yeah, I guess that's how you do that. So we went on the road, and I was probably around 15 or 16, and I just remember from the very first gig that we had, like that I was on, stepping onto that bar stage and being like, oh, like this is it. Like I've never felt anything like this before, you know, because my previous experiences like singing were very different. And so being able to do that, it just all rushed in at once. I remember the exact moment. And I just knew, stupid or not, I'm going to spend the rest of my life pursuing this and doing this. So we got a really, you know, a lot of cool opportunities through that. We were, you know, on bill with Mark Chestnut and Charlie Daniels Band and Leon Russell and people like that. And so it was really, I was very privileged at the time to get such an introduction to it and just be kind of thrown into something like that in the Texas country scene. So that was really great. That was a good time. And I kind of was just wondering, I was like, okay, well, I can stay and kind of play the Texas music scene, which is super cool.
Yeah.
They do kind of have their own ecosystem of it. I feel like a lot of those guys and, you know, girls that are out there singing songs, you can be huge in Texas, which is the weird thing. And then it doesn't always translate to Nashville. Right. Yeah. Which is so strange because, you know, there's absolutely unreal music coming out of Texas and always has been. There's just such a soul in that state. I mean, aside from the point that Texas thinks that Texas is the best at everything.
Yeah. Texas is number one.
Texas is number one.
Texas is the greatest country on earth.
All categories. No specifications. But yeah, so I kind of was like, well, I mean, I guess it's time to go to college. I guess I should do that. And I didn't really know what I was going to do with that. I had a full ride to go to a school in my hometown, Abilene Christian University, which I could have done. But then I kind of, you know, my mom was like, hey, you know, you're doing the music thing. Let's take a trip to Nashville to just check it out. We've never been. So me, her, and my grandpa at the time came to see Nashville. And as we were flying over, we saw Belmont University. and, it was just gorgeous. And I was like, oh, what's that? And so we learned a little bit more about it. And there was one last audition date for the music school, I think in a month and a half. And so I had no real like classical technical training in any of this crap. So like, I was like, I just was by ear and I just kind of off feel. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try to learn, as much as I possibly can in this month and a half. Which, there's people that from the time they could walk were like in piano lessons and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, let's see what happens.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. And I ended up making it in, and I was like, I guess if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all the way. Cause I think it was really important for me to come here and just be absolutely knocked in the face with like the most talented people.
Yeah.
You could.
Trial by fire.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, I was, just the best of my hometown, but like it was coming here. It is a whole different story. I mean, it's literally every single person that you probably pass on the sidewalk or, you're sitting next to at the restaurant. Like every person is probably the best guitar player you've ever heard. Right. The best singer you've ever heard.
Right.
And so as much as it hurt sometimes, it was really good to be introduced into that environment and be like, oh crap, like, no, this is crazy.
This is for real. This is the big
for
leagues.
Real. Yeah. Like you have to fight and claw every day to even be considered for something.
Yeah, and it's such a powerful litmus test, I think, coming to Nashville, no matter your role in the industry,
Absolutely.
By the way. Because, like, everybody can be the best in their hometown, right? And win all the local awards, get on the local festivals, this, that, and the other thing. When you come here, you really get to measure yourself, by industry standards.
Yeah.
And I think for everybody that comes here with that learner's mindset, there are just as many, if not more people, probably more people who come here, bragging about their accomplishments back home. And it's like wearing your varsity jacket to the first day of college. Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's important to come here with that beginner's mindset, that learner's mindset. And so what was your approach, upon coming to Belmont and just immersing yourself in this ecosystem?
Yeah. So I would say I just started writing songs with a lot of people, of any genre, honestly, because I just wanted to push myself in that way. Songs have always been one of the most important aspects to me. And in my hometown, there were just a couple people that I would write with, within the band. And I was like, I need to be completely expanded. I need to try stuff that's completely new to me. I need to be able to be self-sufficient in that way. And, moving somewhere, like after living the same place, everybody knows everybody your whole life. It was just kind of about like finding your people and finding the people in that similar mindset. As far as like, the music we like and like the kind of people we want to be, but then also meeting all different kinds too. I have co-written on tunes for DJs and tunes for rappers and stuff like that. Like I just wanted all around as a songwriter, even though my lane is country, I wanted to be pushed and be able to do this other stuff too, because I think that it makes my own stuff better if you've just got a more well-versed kind of thing.
Yeah, you're able to learn more and bring things back into it.
For sure. And it is tough at times because I would not consider myself like a huge networking person. Like a networking event sounds like my version of hell, like a little bit. Not that I don't want to meet people, but just like, I love those organic meetings where you're like, oh, I do music, me too. And then, but like that's
as opposed to going there with a name tag, looking around a crowded room.
Yeah. And so, it is really cool when you do meet people organically. Like, some of my very best friends and most trusted musical confidants I've met just working my retail job back in the day when I first moved here.
Yeah.
And it's really cool like that. And I'm just blown away by some of the friends that I've made in this town and just how amazing that they are. But yeah, it is a weird, different kind of thing moving here. It's like you have to mold some of yourself to fit within it. And then it's really important, I believe, too, to keep some of your core things and not let it be, well, everybody's doing this, so I need to do this.
Right.
There are some behaviors you need to unlearn and be like, okay, I need to get with the program on this. But it's so important, I would say, to keep some of the aspects of yourself that to be true, that make you different, that make you unique. As long as it's not hurting anybody.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, as far as like looking around and seeing what other people are doing as far as quality standards, that's very important to be like, okay, like that's an important thing to measure. Like, where am I, in comparison to them. That's one place where I think comparison actually does help us, right?
For sure.
It's like, okay, like this person's killing it. Who are the producers they're working with? Who are the songwriters they're working with? Like, what is their approach to the business of this? Because of course it's very important. We talk about it here all the time. But yes, you need to remain true to yourself, because I think the mistake people make is like, oh, well, I just need to do what that person's doing.
Right.
I need to mold myself in this image. I mean, I use this example all the time. How many girls were the next Taylor Swift or trying to be the Taylor Swift of whatever location? There's already a Taylor Swift. And nobody's going to be Taylor Swift.
Nobody's doing it like her.
Better than Taylor Swift, right? So you've got to keep really like the core of who you are intact as you do this, because that is what's going to attract your audience. That's what's going to attract people to you, right? Including your community, your collaborators, any potential like partners that you might have, on the business end. Like, they're going to resonate with who you are more than what you're doing. And especially now that we're, in an age where so many people are creating, so many people are making music and making content, like, what makes you stand out?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does make you stand out, if I can ask you a deep question?
Ooh, asking the hot button
Yeah,
questions.
there we
go. So I think for me, every single thing that I write is a personal story, something that's happened to me. And I think, like, honestly, in my life, I've seen a lot of hardship. I've been very privileged in a lot of ways, but then in another sense, I've seen a lot of stuff for, how the 28 years I've been here. And so I think that absolutely resonates and gives me kind of this viewpoint of, being able to tell that story, whether it's death, loss, all of these other things. And I think that what you would expect from someone who is blonde haired named Brittany might not be what I give, and especially you can hear it on the whole record. I kind of go into these different stories and in and out of my history and talk about some of the tougher things. So I think that it's that. I think that I'm not afraid to go there. And I do have this unique lens from the things that have happened to me that I try to use and bring that into art, which is truly, I believe, the only way to heal through some of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Being able to put yourself into the art, not only does that help you connect with other people, it helps you connect better to yourself.
Absolutely. Like I've never felt worse probably than when I've tried to write a song to the formula. Like, because, and it's been years since I've done that, but I had a teacher at Belmont University who kind of would critique my songs and say, like, there's no way this is getting radio play. There's no way that, like, it's too personal. You need to make it more, generalized for people. Yeah. And, in that way, I'm sure he was trying to help. And, maybe it would have been true as far as, like, more people resonating with it. But that isn't, for me, why I do it. I think that I would rather live in obscurity and make music that is personal to me and helps me get through the things and communicate that, hopefully finding another person that has been through something similar, than just to do the formula and, like, hit the buzzwords and make the pop beat under the country song. And that's fine if you want to do that. That's totally fine. Cause, like, some people absolutely love it and that's their truth. But for me personally, Brittany Bishop, that's not really my vibe as much. So I find it so fulfilling to start here, do it for me, and then put it out into the world. Yeah. Because I feel like I've gotten in trouble songwriting when I start to think first out here and take it to the page. It's always best for me when I go. Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to attract the right people to you because you're focused on the internal locus of control as opposed to what are they going to like? Right. I'm making it for them. I'm making it for somebody else. I'm making it for the industry. Like, that's a recipe for burnout, frustration. Absolutely. For some people, giving up and going home. Yeah. Like, when people try to just, like, cater, and then after, a certain amount of time it doesn't hit, they're like, well, I guess I'm not good at this, so I'll just go back and be the big fish in the small pond. I've seen it happen so many times. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, you're going to attract the right people to yourself and to your brand, to your artistry, by just putting yourself into it. Because again, that's what's going to connect. It all comes down to that connection. That's what's going to connect with people, and I feel like now we're not just entering anymore. We've entered this age of transparency too, where people want real. I think, like, maybe a decade ago, the over-manufactured thing was really in vogue, right? Now people want real. They want Billie Eilish. They want, like,
these artists who are out there just bearing their souls, they want this version of Miley Cyrus, who's just like doing whatever she feels like doing.
Yeah.
And it works because she's Miley Cyrus and she's incredible.
Oh my gosh.
People want that authenticity, as overused as that word is now. And I think it's overused because it's so generalized, and it's a word that can't be generalized because authenticity is a different thing for each of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that the pendulum has swung because, like you were saying, about 10 years ago, it was that very, get us to the chorus kind of thing, like widespread appeal. And now, specifically in country music, with the rise of like your Tyler Childers type person, like
Jelly Roll.
Yeah, absolutely. It is that bare soul kind of thing. And their songs are not generalized. Their songs are not that. It's literally personal stories. But the coolest thing to me about music is that it can be a very detailed personal story with actual events, but each listener is going to find a situation in their own life that they can take from that, even if, it's so specific. And that's kind of the thing that I love. And for me, that person was Jason Isbell, is my number one all-time favorite artist. And I think like he tells such specific stories too, down to the letter, down to what it looked like. But for me, I can put on this situation in my life. I can recall this, even though it is a different thing. It's cool. It's this untangible, magical moment. And I just want to be that for somebody else too. Even if, it's not the exact same thing, like they can take the emotion of it and where I was at and where I was coming from and apply it to something and feel like they have a friend in the music. Because there was some dark times in my life where, I was just listening to Jason Isbell. Maybe that wasn't a great call as far as lifting my spirits out of it. But
fair.
But I truly felt like I had somebody that understood me, and I felt like I had somebody that got it, and like I could kind of share in that with this like parasocial relationship or whatever. But yeah, that's what I want to be for other people too. And I think it's always going to be better to put that whole piece of yourself into it, because it's just like meeting someone and shaking someone's hand, almost like, the eye contact. It's a human experience, but just sound waves.
And that's the mark of a great songwriter, somebody who's writing about something so specific, but everybody who's listening, everybody who's at the live show can like take something different from that.
Right.
Like my favorite songwriters, my favorite artists are masters at doing that, because they're putting themselves into this work, right? But they're not beating you over the head with it to where like, okay, well, it has to be about this. Like you have to get this meaning from it. They're creating it, they're releasing it, and they're letting it be yours.
Yeah.
At that point. And Jason Isbell, great at that. I mean, I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. Our Lady Peace is my favorite band of all time. Rain Maida is incredible at that. Like, I find that those are the songwriters that I gravitate toward, are the ones who like, okay, like this was mine, now it's yours. Interpret it as you will. If you want to know what it's about, you can ask, but it's up to you. Right. As a listener.
That whole show don't tell thing. Like you could say, I'm mad or whatever, or like I've disappointed people, but like, I don't know, he has such a way of saying like that. Like he has one of my favorite lyrics. He's like, AC hasn't worked in 20 years, probably never made a single person cold. I can't say the same for me. I've done it many times. Like, but yeah, it's you could say like, I'm upset and I've disappointed people, or you could say that,
right?
And
what's more powerful?
Yeah, you could still get the whole energy of that.
Speaking of powerful, new single, new video out now.
New video.
Tell us about it.
Absolutely. So Welcome Home is probably, I don't want to, be rude to my other children, but probably my favorite to perform live. It is one of my favorites on the records because it's such a rockin', just good, good upbeat anthem for me. And it's absolutely like the band I've got is just smoking and we absolutely kill it. But that is one of my favorites. So my guitar player, Greg Harrison, brought in this riff and was just like, showed it to me and I was like, oh, we can do this. We can do this. And the first line that came to me from it was, step in line if you got the time, let's lose our minds in 1,000 different ways. And that just kind of set the energy tone for it. And we took off with it. It was kind of inspired. So I listened to, like I said, horror movie fan. I listened to all of these podcasts that are just like scary stories.
True crime stuff.
Yeah, true crime, scary stories, that kind of thing. And there was this one story specifically that was called the Time Warp Saloon, And it's where these people were just on this deserted highway, ended up at this kind of honky tonk, and stuff just started to get weird in there slowly, and it was just kind of this stuck in time place. But like it was like a frog in a pot of boiling water where they slowly were like, oh, we need to get out of here. This is kind of insane.
Yeah.
And that kind of just painted a whole fictional place for me that I created, and it's definitely reflected, as you can see in the video. I wrote the concept for the video, and I wanted it to be slightly unsettling. I wanted it to be very me and very fun, but at the same time have that like element, just a little bit of a horror thriller kind of thing. Yeah. So the song and that video go hand in hand. I've been really honestly blown away at the response to the song, like just the amount of people reaching out, and people I know and people I don't, and just saying that they love it and they've been using it as an anthem. And it's honestly just kind of represents this fictional place where the creatures of the dark and the light and everything in between can all kind of coexist. And, you know, you can be strange if you want, you can be whoever you want there. So that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah. And that fits exactly what we were saying about this being the age of transparency, the age of authenticity. Be who you are.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid of it.
Yeah. And one of my favorite things about the video, you know, writing it was so much fun, but I think that having two absolutely stellar performers, two drag queens, Adam Biga going as the princess and Mana Giovanni, I was so excited to have them in that video, because in country music, in Tennessee specifically, it's been such a hot button issue as far as the drag queens and the ban of all of that stuff. And so there's not a lot of representation in country music, and there's kind of that weird attitude. So I was like, I absolutely want to have these amazing performers in my video.
Yeah.
Like I want that to be definitely a theme, because it goes along with the song of no matter who you are, you're welcome here. You can be yourself. Yeah. So that was an amazing experience as well.
I love it. It's out now, by the way, as of release date.
Yes. Yes.
We're actually recording this, fun fact, to break the fourth wall before the video is released. But yeah, video, single, Welcome Home, out now.
Yes.
On all of your streaming platforms. And it's just a preview of what's to come. Of course, as we mentioned, your 10th Nash-iversary. I said that word. 10th Nash-iversary. I thought two different words at once. Anniversary and Nash-iversary. Even though the second one's not a word. Your 10th Nash-iversary is coming up in 2025, and to celebrate, you're releasing a full record.
I am releasing a full record, which is the first time I've done that. I did an EP a few years ago, and I look back on that so fondly, because it was just me kind of finding my niche and finding where I was at, developing the sound. But this record coming up is just, I feel like, the most me I've ever felt. It fully encapsulates all 10 years that feel like 10,000 that I've been here. Yeah, but also 10 minutes, strangely. Somehow.
Yeah.
It completely captures all of that, and I'm just so excited for everybody to hear it. I've recorded it down at Pentaveret Studios, was working with Bobby Holland, who is an absolute legend and one of my dear friends, and just the musicians that played on this record, all my friends that I co-wrote with, on the ones that had co-writers, like it just has been the best experience and one of the great pleasures of my life. It's going to be called Shadow of the Valley, so I can't wait for it to come out. It's going to be out in March. I'm holding myself to that. Y'all keep me accountable, because
my birthday's in March.
You know, music. Mine too.
When?
When is yours?
10th.
26th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here, I'll hold you to it. Don't disappoint me for my birthday.
Okay, I won't. It'll be out. I swear. That's the classic musician thing. When's your record coming out? You know, and the thing, and we're getting around to it. And
sometime next year.
You know, I'm really looking for big things coming.
Big things coming. Making moves, working with legends.
Making moves in silence, yeah. But no, this record has been absolutely so fun to make, and it really takes you through a journey of my time in Texas and my time here, and I just couldn't be happier with it. And honestly, spoiler, after the record, we got more music coming, because we've just been riding up a storm and just keeping it going. So yeah, trying to just play it out all 2025, because performing live is my absolute favorite thing in the world.
Well, big things coming.
Big things coming. Those memes always get me.
No, but they really are, though.
They really are, I swear.
So looking at the last 10 years and just thinking about the journey so far, clearly, you know, you've had a chance to learn a lot, experience a lot in your time here in Nashville, as well as before.
Yeah.
If there's one lesson that you could go back and tell your younger self, or maybe somebody who's just starting out in your shoes 10 years ago, that would have helped you immeasurably on your journey, what would that one lesson be?
Okay. Can it be 2 lessons?
Sure.
Okay.
There could be as many lessons as you want.
All right. So I would say one of them would be to know what you don't know. I think the person in the room that acts like they've got it all figured out and that they know everything is the person who probably has it the least figured out.
Mm-hmm.
I think just be ready and willing to absorb help from other people. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because, you know, you can kind of completely be like, oh, I have no idea what to do, what steps to take, But if you're just, you know, my stepdad is a football coach, so he's always says, be coachable.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just say knowing those areas that you need improvement. And if you don't know how to improve in that area, find someone who you know is doing well in that area and ask them for help. Because a lot of times they'll help you out. You know, they're down to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think it's not saying, well, I know my way and I'm going to do it this way and I've got it all going. No, learn from other people. Learn from people that are succeeding in their field is what I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not, you know, a knock on your ego to not know everything. None of us know everything, you know.
And the person that tells you they do is either naive or trying to sell you something.
Absolutely.
A lot of times both.
And watch out for that. That's lesson 1.5. Watch out for that person. Absolutely. Yeah. Somebody, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen as far as that goes.
I've got the secret to your 7-figure life.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, just come to dinner with me. Oh, okay, sure. But yeah. So I would watch out for people like that, and I would just surround yourself with other people who want to learn too. And you can just kind of patchwork quilt your whole life with, you know, asking for help from here and leaning on this person. And, you know, it's about being a community, I think is a huge thing, because it can feel very isolating as an artist to just, oh, come to my show, me, promote this. No, I think that community is a hugely helpful thing.
I think it's the biggest part of this.
Biggest
relationships.
part.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say lesson 2, kind of what we talked about earlier, just keeping some of those core things about you just as your home base. Because those things are really going to be what sets you apart, and those things are going to make you unique. Whatever that is about yourself, like, people will tell you and critique you all kinds of things, and you should listen to some of that. But I think that it is important to not just become an amalgamation of everybody else in the lane that you're trying to go. And I think that just because one person did something and they were successful at it does not mean you should try to replicate that completely. You can take pieces of that, but I think it's always important to put yourself into it as well. Because we've already got, like you were saying, we've already got your Tyler Childers, your George Straits. We've already got your, you know, whoever down the list. But we, you know, people want to hear from you. Yeah. And they want that unique perspective that's new. No matter what that is, you have something you can bring to the table that is important and it hasn't been heard before. And that's a really cool thing. Absolutely. So a mix of the two, keeping your core values, but yet being coachable in the areas you know you need to improve on.
And if you are going to receive coaching, watch out for the snake oil salesman.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
This has been awesome.
This has been so much fun. Great conversation.
Brittany Bishop joining us on the Quinn Spinn. Anything else? Well, first of all, thank you for coming.
Of course. It's been awesome.
And then where can we learn more about you online?
Yeah, well, you can head on down to BrittanyBishop.com. BRITTANY. A lot of people think it's like Britney Spears. It's not. But yeah, stay updated with me there. I've got Instagram and Facebook and the whole deal. But most importantly, Spotify, Apple Music, even crazier, iTunes if you want to buy a song.
Whoa,
I don't know.
Buy a song.
It could be nuts.
What is this, 2002?
But yeah, I stay updated on all that, my tour dates and where I'm playing and the whole deal. So yeah, follow along there. And I'm just so excited for this record to be out and for everybody to be able to hear it.
Anything else you want to tell us? Any shout outs to the cats at home? Anything?
Shout out to Grandpa and Freddie Mercury. You are foundational to my mental health, and I probably would not be here without you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just really lucky right now. I just, you know, Bobby Holland, my producer, and my band, and you know, all the support system that I have here is the reason that I'm able to still be here and learn these lessons and make this music. So I'm just a super lucky gal, honestly.
Well, it's great to have you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to
Thank you for
everything to
having
come.
me.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
And this has been the Quinn Spin. 2 N's and Quinn, 2 N's and Spin. Thanks for setting me up for that. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Also on the socials at Quinn Spin Official on Instagram and Threads. And the Quinn Spin, again, 2 N's in each, Quinn and Spin on Facebook and TikTok. Underground Music Collective is our central hub for all things independent music, creativity, community, and more. UMCNashville.com will take you pretty much everywhere you need to go. And UMC Nashville on most of the socials, except Facebook, where it's UMC Worldwide. And we don't have any Nash Live shows coming up, but we will in 2025. So follow at Nash Live shows if you want to get in on our experiential live music platform here in Nashville. And make sure you also follow UMC Academy. We're starting Brand Camp on January 6th. It's a virtual brand camp that you can attend from anywhere, where you get to learn how to define your artist platform and work with a community of like-minded artistpreneurs like yourself. Revel 9's all become. Going to take us out like it brought us in. Grab some muffins on the way out.